Hello. Good afternoon. Let's talk about something today. Are you content knowing that God is in all control? That He has control of everything? Excuse me. I'm just getting over a cold, and I might have to do that a little bit. I'm just glad I have a voice today. So I'm Cassie. It's July 5th, and today's new nugget is about the content behavior that David and Paul both had. Our Psalms today was in chapter 3, and it is David writing in retreat of his son Absalom, who wants to kill him. So Absalom is chasing him to kill him, and David is retreating. And he cries out in 1 and 2, "O Lord, I have so many enemies, so many are against me. All are saying, God will never rescue him." Have you ever felt surrounded, pressed in on all sides to make a decision that you didn't have total peace over? Or maybe have a conversation where a conflict has happened? Maybe another has said some untruths about you and all eyes are on you. Maybe it's a diagnosis where everyone, along with everything, is telling you something different than you know in your heart, and you want to hold on tight to God's plan for you. David goes on to write in 3 and 4, "But you, O Lord, are a shield around me. You are my glory, the one who holds my head high. I cried out to you, Lord, and you answered me from the holy mountain." Are we waiting patiently for His answer, for His voice? Ever have an overwhelming peace, knowing that all will be well? So just focusing and trusting on Him helps us see that He's got everything that's going on. And through obedience and trusting Him, no matter what, He loves us more than we can ever comprehend. Nothing happens out of His grasp. And when we focus on Him, we can see that His plan works for His good. And if we focus on serving Him through love and trust, we'll see it. It's a lot like the adult in our life. When you were growing up, or your own child, your own grandchild, you bring them to a carnival and they see the big scary Ferris wheel, and you know it's going to be okay. So you encourage them and you're telling them it's all going to be okay, and they're scared. I don't know. Yeah, it'll be fun. Or you see them on their bike with the training wheels and you don't see them teetering anymore, and your voice is encouraging them to keep pedaling, keep balance. You're doing great. What about a pain that a child has, and you know that a little bit of time and some cuddles can help that pass? They're scared, but they trust you. God is our Abba Father. That is the same trust we are supposed to have for Him. So in the New Testament, it's Acts 23, and it states that the Lord stood next to Paul. The NLT version says that He appeared to Paul. You know, after the conversion, he knew whatever God asked of him, that He'd make a way, and that Paul's job was to stay focused on God's will. Paul knew that the Lord was preparing him for this very moment all the time. His Roman citizenship, his knowledge of the Jewish law, his knowledge, what he knew about the history of his people, the persecution of Christians even. And Paul had complete faith that God was with him every single step of the way. He didn't focus on the uncomfortable of the unknown, a lot like David. David would cry out, he would declare his weaknesses, and then he would grab on to God's strength. And he knew overwhelmingly that God has this. Their current situation did not have them focusing on pain or hunger or a want or a need. They trusted and were content in knowing that they were to listen for God's voice, that they were to follow that voice, the voice of our Almighty Father. So with all the different attacks we have daily, do we have that same peace? In everything that's coming up, do we know that God's got us? Think about all the talk we hear about crime, border issues, climate control, education, the value of $1, our food quality, farming practices. Do we trust and are we content knowing that God is in control? That we are also to have that same focus, the same heart posture, that same peace. It's even in our Proverbs reading, chapter 18, verse 14 says, the human spirit can endure a sick body, but who can bear a crushed spirit? Are we hopeless? Are we full of anxiety or depression? Are we discouraged, discontent, being disobedient? Do we trust that God has our future, the future of our loved ones, and the future of our nation? Don't focus on all those issues. Don't focus on what you cannot control. What you can control is focusing on Him, trusting He's got it. And when we do take control or try to take control, we are telling God that He is not doing His job right, that we can do it better, that His promises are all lies. God is for us. He is not against us. And how often do we blame God instead of seeking Him in prayer, in song, in His word, in worship? Keep hopeful, my friends. Stay in His word. See His glory in all that happens, knowing and trusting with everything that's in you that He's got this. He's your person. He's your adult. He is alive and strong. If you cannot find hope, then I encourage you to get into His word with others, a lot like we do here, and listen to how they are seeing God work in their life. We are not meant to be alone. We are meant to do this together. We are the body of Christ. And so we need to refocus sometimes why others are thankful for Him and see them working in their lives in order to see it in ours. He is for us. Again, encourage another also. This strengthens your faith and it helps give someone hope. And sharing stories, maybe in the comments, if you have a testimony about having an overwhelming peace in a really scary or uncertain or confusing time, that can encourage another. If you're overwhelmingly worried about something and you want to share it with another, one of us would be happy to give you an encouraging word or a verse or pray with you. I have a lot of testimonies in my life where God was the only way, that when I trusted Him first, everything else fell into place. And I want to encourage you to look for that. If you need stories of hope, you can message me. I'm sure anyone in this group would be willing to help with that. So know that you are incredibly loved, that you are held on too tight, that you are protected, and you are watched over. I want to thank you for joining me today, and be blessed this weekend. Also be a blessing to another. Get into His word and see what He has to say to you. Thank you so much for being here.